global recession has rocked some of Canada's most solid industries, including one that's the very symbol of strength, which is steel. That's why producers are in Ottawa to lobby for policies to help it survive. Jeannie Lee joins me with that story and more. What are the steelmakers asking for, Jeannie?
Well, these days, Suhana, you'd expect the answer would be money, but there is no mention of any financial bailout, at least not yet. But lots of talk about policy changes to revive demand for steel and investment and jobs in steel. Because in the last 6 months, steelmakers have seen their business melt down by half as so many industries that use steel suddenly need less of it.
It's automotive, it's construction, it's the market segments we serve, energy. All of them, of course, are feeling the impact of the global economic crisis. But clearly, automotive demand is well down from where it would have been 3 or 4 years ago, and it is certainly one of the principal markets for our industry.
Members of the Canadian Steel Producers Association provide jobs for about 30,000 Canadians, and last year churned out about $14 billion in steel products. It was most recently threatened by that controversial Buy America clause in the U.S. infrastructure stimulus program. The association did mention the need for policies that promote fair trade as it headed into this week's meetings. And stark evidence of just how much less steel is needed to make cars. Last month's sales figures are trickling out today, and Ford, as it turns out, sold 41% fewer cars than a year earlier. Now, Ford is the only one of the Detroit Three not to ask for a government loan. It's trying to rustle up sales, though, by offering what's in effect layoff insurance, promising buyers if they lose their jobs, their monthly payments will be covered for up to a year for up to $700 a month. And we'll be hearing from other North American automakers today as well. And the Japanese automakers, which were at first holding up okay as the Detroit Three saw their sales fall apart. Well, they're also suffering as well, with Nissan sales down almost 9% here in Canada and Honda's down by 23%. But Honda did report more tire kickers in March than February and said sales of its economy model, the Civic, more than doubled in the month. The Civic has been the top-selling car for 11 years in Canada, where drivers are more cost-conscious than U.S. drivers have been. Still, Honda has been forced to make its deepest cuts yet. Wages are being rolled back for salaried and factory workers, and buyout offers being made to most of its more than 32,000 workers in the U.S. and Canada. Honda will also shut down its North American factories for almost 2 weeks starting in May, and that's to cut production by 62,000 vehicles. The automaker has 2 plants in Alliston, Ontario. Today's measures will chop hourly wages at its U.S. factories, just as GM and Chrysler are under the gun to lower their labor costs to match those of its Japanese rivals. So today's move may crank up the already high pressure on GM and Chrysler as they stare down the possibility of bankruptcy protection. And Toyota is seeing a mixed bag when it comes to sales. Toyota branded cars were down by about 25%, but up 21% for the luxury Lexus models. And it credited a marketing program that focused on the fact that many Toyota cars are built in Canada, but also it too is offering what's in essence, Suhana, layoff insurance that job protection is called. Several of these automakers, including Kia and Suzuki, also offering the same thing, really trying to get people to buy and not be so afraid.
And that's the bottom line, fear. Thank you so much, Jeannie.
Okay.